Thank you.
Then we are in agreement.
Thank you, Mr.
On
Young.
that
Recognized for 5 minutes.
All right, I think we're on. First, thank you to all our panelists. It's been a fascinating discussion here, and as a member of not just the Budget Committee, but of the Armed Services Committee, let me share with you the perspective of a freshman member of Congress. Within days of being sworn in, you can imagine we're asked to make all manner of different platform sort of decisions. Expeditionary fighting vehicle, fund or defund. If you're going to fund, do you decrease the funding? Next decision. Two engines or one engine for this aircraft platform. Next decision. There's no strategic context to so many of these decisions articulated by the administration. This is not meant to be partisan. These challenges go back a number of years, a number of administrations. We have to find some way out of this. Now, both Senator Talent and Dr. Adams, you, to your credit, I think did discuss the strategic implications of investing more or investing less in our military. I wish our administration could articulate the same sorts of things, and I would like perhaps a discussion for another day to get into some of the mission discipline concerns, or perhaps we need less discipline. I think there are probably intelligent and intelligible arguments that say, no, we're not committed enough in certain areas, and we need to invest further. I'm frankly open to both arguments, okay? But they need to be made, and the administration is just not doing it. Now, there's a $400 billion defense savings initiative that our current president has launched. And Dr. Adams, I saw you quoted recently, perhaps out of context. We know how that happens around here. But, quote, this review is going too fast to mean something, is what the press indicated you had said. And I share those concerns, that perhaps it's going too fast to very critically look at what our grand strategy should be as a country, what our role should be in the world. That, of course, should drive what missions we're asking our military to perform. We ought then prioritize each of those respective missions. That, in turn, should drive our force structure, our R&D decisions. Along the way, let's cut out the waste and inefficiency. There's certainly opportunities to do so, and I'm open to that. The question is this: how, absent choosing some dollar figure, $400 billion of cuts, to enforce some discipline on our bureaucracy, absent that, how can we get the Pentagon, the administration, to articulate what our role should be in the world and all the other things that fall beneath? Do we need to scrap the QDR and replace it with something else? Do we need to just improve the QDR? Or are we left with this very uncomfortable situation where we are asking managers of our military, of our Pentagon, to manage down to a dollar figure, something I'm entirely comfortable doing, frankly, in the USDA, but less comfortable doing in DOD? I'll give Dr. Adams about 2 minutes to answer that, followed by Senator Talent.
Happy to take a crack at it. It's a very big and I think very important question. We over the past 30 or 40 years, and particularly over the past 20, have basically allowed administration after administration, whether it's Democrat or Republican, to get away with having the Department of Defense be the primary strategic planner for the United States government when it comes to our international engagement. It's quite stunning when you think about it. Until this past year, there has not been a strategic planning document of any kind from the Department of State, the Agency of International Development, and while there's been a national security strategy from the White House, it has followed, most of the time, the Defense Department strategic planning document, not preceded it. So we have allowed it to happen. And just as a bracket, I want to say, so that Senator Talent doesn't think I disagree with him on everything, I think while I disagreed with the content, the strategic planning document that the Bush White House did, the first one they did, was a masterpiece of strategic thinking. It's actually quite good. I disagreed with its thrust. But they actually prioritized what they thought was important and deprioritized what they thought was less important.
Which Bush White House?
The Bush White House. Oh, the second Bush White House. The second Bush White House. Thank you. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. The other part of it, as I said in my earlier remarks, I'm not sure whether you were here yet or not, Congressman, was that resources and strategy are always related. So strategy, where's the dollar sign, as Bernard Brody said, it's always resource constrained, so you plan with that knowledge in mind. You don't plan with it absent from your mind. You know, therefore, that you can never reduce risk everywhere all the time to zero. You have to prioritize your risks and capabilities.
Mr. Chairman, if I can have 30 seconds to allow Senator Talent to respond.
Look, I agree very much with what you're saying. I think this is something Gordon and I agree on. The lack of strategic clarity. I wrote a huge article on this. The lack of direction from the highest level of civilian authority since the Cold War ended, through now almost 4 presidents, is extremely frustrating. What we had to do in the Perry-Hadley Commission is to look at what they had actually done from administration to administration and deduce from that what we call the strategic habits of the United States, and to deduce from that the interests and objectives that we would need to defend. So
I guess the counterpoint would be, should those habits change? And I look forward to that robust dialogue. But
and one other thing, I don't think DOD is hungering to do deployments out there. That has never been. I mean, they're not saying they really want the deployments reduced.
Sure.
And I agree with him also, with Gordon also. It's been a default thing because we have not planned, we have not had clarity. We have sent troops in because we don't prepare anything else. So, look, I agree very much with that comment, and I think a hearing on that would be great.
Great.
great. Thank you.
Terrific.
Thank you. Recognize Mr. Skapter for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr.